then, it does become a little bit interesting how you measure the improvement. I come on this call with you and I'm like, hey, I got so much smarter last week. I wouldn't be able to tell you how, but I did.
In fact, our performance review is coming up for mid-year, so I'm just going to clip this and send it to our boss.
I did better this year. How? I just vibes, bro. Hello, hello, and welcome to Over Architected with Nick and Holly, where together we're experts in AI and data engineering, but separately, not so much.
This is the podcast where we talk about new features in Databricks and then try to shoehorn them into one architecture to see if it's actually realistic. And I actually am going to start with a least favorite feature from the last 30 days, Nick. And that is that Databricks Docs has an RSS feed, which now ultimately makes us completely obsolete.
Wow. No, I like that. That's my favorite feature. I disagree.
Okay, end of podcast. Bye.
Yep, I'm good with that. Let's call it.
Well, we still have some things to talk about from this month. So I think I'm going to start with one that is someone who's been talking about a lot of like AI projects that you've been wanting to do and kind of document extraction. The thing that I want to talk to you about this week is about our SharePoint connector, which is now in beta for every customer to try. So if you're not familiar with this, this is part of Lakeflow as part of the ingest. And this allows you to connect to SharePoint sites and also to the drives as well. So if you want to be able to ingest documents, PDFs, PowerPoints, Excel files. This is something that you are now able to do straight from SharePoint without needing something like an S3 bucket in between with that extra step. It is in beta, and that means that it is API only at the moment, so there's not a UI yet. So in terms of the authentication, you can use U2M authentication. You can do like a manual token, but it will need some refresh and it will need to use compute as well. It has site level isolation, and a site maps to a schema, and then a drive to a particular table. And so within that table, you'll have the file ID, the metadata, the source of the metadata, the actual content itself, the sequence ID, and also any deletions for kind of SCD2 stuff. So the first step is to go up and set up that connection. You then have to have a UDF to copy it to a volume or even to a blob file. So if you are doing work with chatbots, or if you are scooping up a bunch of CSV files and you don't want to have that extra step in between, this is a really good feature.
Nice. Is it, sorry, I probably missed this at the very beginning. This is part of Lakeflow, so this will appear in the UI. Like you said API only, but this will be just like one of the, like the Salesforce connector we have, like this is where this lives.
Yes.
Okay,
So
got it.
yeah,
Okay,
so it is
awesome.
so it's API at the moment, but once it's out of beta, it will have that UI. So if you go to Lakeflow ingest, it'll be one of the drop-down options at the moment.
I guess I'll just draw exactly what the feature is, exactly what you said. Drive my SharePoint is kind of drives, I guess, is the thing that I can write. That's the specific thing.
Yeah, so a SharePoint site maps to a schema,
Schema.
and then the drive maps to a table.
Like a table. Okay,
Yeah.
well then I will write that in a little bit more details
So yeah,
there.
so if you have like isolation on particular things, so if you've got like one site for, I don't know, like one particular department, and then it kind of breaks down into team, that's the way that you would separate this out.
Now I'm wondering because now I have a Databricks square, which could be an infinite number of things. So let's do UC, and under this guy, let's do actually Control C, Control V. Make this even smaller. Do table and make two lines that go from SharePoint to schema, and then also same originating point to table. And then here we'll write these are the sites
Uh-huh.
and these are the drives. There we go.
Beautiful.
Okay. We don't really have a contextual use case yet. This is just technical, but
Files.
let's fill it in from there.
Yeah. And we'll build our pipeline and then decide what we need to use it for later, like all good architects.
I'm really enjoying to hear that that Lakeflow is increasing the number of connectors, and soon it'll take over the world. Very exciting.
Cool.
My turn.
Yes.
My turn. All right. AI in Databricks, which can mean so many things, but Let's focus two things. The first thing, very excited for is being able to explore a specific table with an LLM. So this is, in my view, was a huge missing gap in the product, and now we filled it. It's very exciting. So now you can select any table in UC Catalog, and in the sample data plane, you can chat with that table directly. We've talked about Genie, but Genie's its own space, and it's on many different tables, and it's really configurable. This is for when you really quickly want to prototype being able to use an LLM to chat on a table. That simple. The interface is a lot like Genie, so it's very familiar. It's kind of embedded into the platform, and I think a huge step forward in letting basically anybody speak to a table and not having to necessarily know or laboriously write SQL or Python or God forbid Scala. Um, and then the second AI feature that's really exciting is a built-in function, kind of our AI function suite for parsing documents. So you can now parse PDFs and image files. I'm going to say JPEGs and PNGs. Pings? I don't know how you say it. PNG.
Like, how else would you say PNG?
I don't say PNG ever. This is the first time I've ever said it. I don't know. I don't have any tech friends. I don't ever say PNG to anybody. You can cut that one out.
No, absolutely not. If you'd like to be Nick's friend, why not leave a comment down below?
Again, another one of those things that just makes sense as part of our AI function suite. So just like we've opened up the ability to chat with the table with an LLM, this function just completes out the suite of our AI functions.
Okay, so I guess my turn to start adding to our diagram. I'm going to start by making this box a lot bigger because we're going to have lots of stuff in Databricks. Okay, so the first thing was kind of chat to table in, sorry, what was it, like LLM chat?
Explore table data with an LLM.
Chat to table. And I think we're just going to do something kind of like, does this contain, I don't know, document X or whatever. And we can just check that we've got the right table before we then go ahead and do our analysis. If it is, we then have a notebook, which we never specify, but let's say it's a notebook, and we're going to use AI parse for, is it PDFs that we've got at the moment?
Documents. But yeah, it supports images and PDFs.
Okay, so let's PDFs, and that's going to come from our SharePoint PDFs. So SharePoint PDFs. This is like, this isn't even pseudocode at this point. This is just bad.
I think everybody understands who has the patience to watch us do this.
Don't worry, I cut out all the boring bits, like this one right now. And so, sorry, when we pass it, like, what is the output of this?
It's a structured JSON, and it has a few fields like pages and elements, and then whatever text that was parsed out.
Okay, so like pages, elements, like titles and things or headings. Okay. And I don't know what we're going to be doing with that. Right, how's that?
It's good. It's great.
Thanks.
What's next?
So next up, we have bring your own lineage for Unity Catalog. So
Yes.
we recognize that sometimes you might use tools that aren't Databricks. We're not angry at you. We're just disappointed. No, it's fine. Now you can bring your own lineage. So where you've got that lineage diagram within Unity Catalog, now you can start adding to it as well for things that exist outside of Databricks. So if you're ingesting from a source system that is something that you can't replicate in Databricks, but you want to have that there because that is very crucial for your understanding of how people use this data, or maybe you're then pushing it into something like a dashboard, like a Power BI, that is something you could also now add to the lineage. And to do this, there are two steps. So the first thing that you're going to do is create an external metadata object in Unity Catalog, and where you've got that, you are then going to name it. You're going to tell us what system that object is from. You can say the type, you can say the description, and also the column level as well. You can do that within within the UI, or you can do it with the API, which realistically is how you're going to be doing this. From there, you then create the actual lineage itself. So that's the relationship between this new object and the things that you want to map it towards. So again, like, do you want to map it to a table and which columns, if it's a model, or even a path for a volume as well. And again, that's done with the UI and the API as well. You're probably going to be doing it programmatically. You can do this for upstream, you can do downstream. So this isn't a crawler, so it's not something that, if you update that table downstream or upstream, it doesn't necessarily change that automatically. And it's not going to appear in lineage tables either. There are tables in the APIs that you can use to be able to extract that, but because that's something that we can't kind of guarantee, that doesn't appear in the system tables for lineage. How does that sound?
Like an amazing feature. Um, a little confused on how to actually use it. What would be the canonical example of like, why did we build it? Like, what's an external system that everybody's using that we want to support tracing for?
So, for example, maybe you have a pipeline that lives in, I don't know, Redshift, or maybe it's in like an Azure Data Factory, or maybe it's in SharePoint. So, for example, let's say you had a bunch of CSVs and you use one CSV to make another CSV to make another CSV, and then you finally ingest that. We all know how that,
Continue. Sorry, that was
yeah,
really funny.
that is how it goes. And then you could ingest that from SharePoint. So maybe that's a way that we could have this here. So the system type could be Tableau, Power BI, Looker, Kafka, SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, Workday, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL Server, ServiceNow, Amazon Redshift, Azure Synapse, Snowflake, Google BigQuery, Microsoft Fabric, MongoDB, Teradata, Confluent, and of course Databricks.
Interesting. Okay, so it is there's some structure here. It's not as open-ended. Like I could call let's say I have a custom source system that's producing something. I couldn't create metadata that signifies that this is coming from system you've never heard of, or can I?
Yeah, so you can have an other.
You can have another. You didn't say other.
Sorry. I did want to start with other.
So.
And there's like descriptions at every point that you can add in like a custom string. So let's say you've got an architecture of entirely others. You can just add that into like the properties. There's like a key value properties section if you wanted. There's also the description
Mm,
as well.
okay. Let's do that then. I'm gonna pretend we do have kind of custom data producer. Again, I like this diagram this time because we've completely ignored any real semantic like use case here. It's all just technical. So we have a custom data producer. And how would I draw this on the diagram that I can now add metadata to it? Like, where's my entry point to using this feature?
Unity catalog.
Unity catalog. So
Yes.
I have to register this custom data producer into Unity catalog somehow? Or
No, you just say that you just like have you register the external source. And
okay.
you say this is a source, and then the box
Mhm.
appears in your lineage, and then you describe how that box connects to the other boxes.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So really, all I have to do is say this. So we did UC. What's the feature called exactly? External lineage or something?
Bring your own lineage.
Oh, BYO lineage. There we go. Wow. Things are so simple when you just have to drop
Yeah, pour one out for the poor
them.
person that is about to do this for 10,000 objects and use the API to do this all.
Okay. Let's talk foundation model features in the last month. Some two cool new things. First is new release, new model supported in our foundation models. Google Gemma 3 suite of models, specifically the 12 billion model version. Um, as usual, not much specifically I can say for it's like every month we have a new model, something new that we support. So really what I can say is it's 12 billion, so it's on the smaller side. It's multimodal, so supports all kind of usage, image, text. And I think it's geared more towards enterprise use cases that are looking for high performance, but not necessarily some huge 405 billion size model. So this is going to be much quicker, I think. The second piece on in the foundation model kind of world, or kind of our model hosting in general, is custom rate limits for model serving. Also, it's just like a quality of life thing, but basically kind of at a user level in different granularities, you can control the limits of how many people can use your API. So your model serving endpoint, which could be kind of anything, a foundation model, a custom model that you brought up yourself.
So this AI pass, you can like swap in and out your own model, can't you?
You cannot.
Okay, but I can use AI query with a custom model.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, you can to any model that's within the Databricks environment.
Okay then, so I've got AI pass. I'm also going to put AI query in here. I don't know what I'm going to query. I need some good ideas for that. Am I going to use Gemma to do that? Is that how it's spelled?
GEMMA3.
Three, Gemma 3. Okay, and what are we going to query with this? Maybe we.
I need to scan all Jumbotron footage for any incidences.
Well, we could do images as well, couldn't we? So hang
Yes,
on.
you can parse document, AI
All
parse
right.
document, video stream of a
Yeah, hang
concert,
on.
of some concert. I don't know which concert.
I don't think you can get video from
You
SharePoint
you
yet.
do know you're gonna have to cut like all of this, right? This is
No,
we've
no.
completely taken a massive turn.
Okay, I'm going to be looking for HR violations. Maybe if we can get video from our custom producer, how about that? And that's going to go into
Yeah,
the table there. Hang on, let's.
I guess it would go into a volume technically, but that's
Oh,
okay.
you're
We can.
correct, aren't you?
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, the volume can be in the schema. There we go.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? Our next feature is actually really going to help us because we can't just have anyone looking at these tables. And we need to have attribute-based access control. And that is all around
Sure.
having that is all around having assets managed by tags and having all of your access policies managed by that. So we've previously had kind of individual and group-based ways of accessing data and tables and schemas and securables. But tags are much better for things like data sensitivity. For example, I could mark this the table and these results as something that is very confidential, and only the right people who have that level of security can be able to access the tables that we are creating here. And so this can happen on the catalog, the schema, and the table level. And any child objects are going to inherit this as well. So if we've got a schema, or if we've got a catalog where we put this kind of super sensitive tag on, that means that everything else below it is going to inherit it. If we wanted to be a bit selective about who can view what, rather than just kind of denying access to everyone, you can also use UDFs for row filtering or also column masking as well. You get audit logging for all of these too, and they end up in system tables. So not only can I start my project, I can also then see who has been accessing these tables, who has been reading them, and are the subject of our potential HR violations aware of what we're doing.
Okay. So I'm not a governance expert. The attribute, it's like there's users, groups, things like this. Um, that's kind of one entity. There's the assets that you have, that's UC and whatever else might be. And normally you could assign access to a user or a group. And so if a user is part of a group, so on and so forth. And so now we have this attribute base, so it's kind of a new thing in between, right? Am I understanding that correct?
Yeah, so you
Like
tag the
so.
securable. So instead of having to
Mhm,
say table one has PII, table two has PII, table four has PII, and having to
mhm,
do it manually, you can just
mhm.
tag those tables and then dynamically, you can have attach the tags to them, and then any table that gets made with that tag then inherits the controls for everything else with that tag.
I don't know where to put it.
So you
I
could put
mean,
it on the table or the schema.
yeah, yeah, no, in terms of which assets it can belong to, that's clear. But how do
So
we, all right, you know what? I'll just draw little people.
okay.
So executive and executive gets access to this. I just want to signify that a user does not, and the user will be a little small.
The little guy.
Non-executive.
Oh, he's been decapitated.
No, 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 no. Non-executive does not have it. Let's do red and let's do green. How's that? That's good enough.
Do we maybe want to like tag the schema as well and add a tag in?
Say that again.
So this is dependent on us tagging our assets, so tagging our schema or our
Mhm.
tables. Do you want to add a tag to the schema or the table?
Yeah, let's do that. I like that idea. Not my best work, but hey.
Okay, what else you got
Uh,
for me in the AI space?
the third thing is Genie. So Genie's kind of blown up. A lot of people are starting to use it. It is, I think, a sleeper kind of part of the platform. Could be the future way that everybody uses it. So as a reminder for those of you who haven't tried Genie, it's just like a new space within the Databricks ecosystem where you attach a bunch of tables to it. So kind of different assets than you see to that space, and then you can use agents to speak to it to those assets directly. You can add hints and things like this, share it with users, have a whole history or a series of histories of different chats. This past month, it's been kind of quality of life improvements. So, I mean, I was reading the release notes and I honestly can't say much more than they do. And they say that the responses are more clear and concise. I don't know how that's measured, honestly, but I assume somebody vibe checked it and put it in the release notes. It's like, oh, we're, this is like looking a lot better recently. So one of the improvements is to do with date ranges. So if you had asked for some kind of summary statistic over a specific time period that crossed a year boundary, it wouldn't be able to like exactly figure out what you meant because it crossed boundaries, and so year over year statistics could be a little bit flawed. So that's been improved. Genie now supports multiple multi-statements SQL queries. So if you ask something kind of sufficiently complex, Genie can fire off multiple queries, multiple statements to figure out the answer. I thought this was already out, but it turns out it just came out into public preview, and that is the Genie Spaces APIs. So you can now use the REST APIs to list conversation histories, create new spaces, and then actually work with Genie directly through API calls and not necessarily through the UI.
I think I know how I'm going to add this in. So I'm going to I'm going to scooch this down, and the output of this is also going to be a table, and this is going to start looking quite crackers quite quickly because I'm going to put this table within a Genie space. And so what have we got from this? So we've got better vibes.
I mean, that should have been the release note. That should have been like that. It was like, oh man, the vibes are just crushing.
Yeah, better vibes. So we can we've got the API for history, which is nice. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is because like, this is really confidential data. Not only do we have kind of the UC stuff as well, I want to see, whether our executives are asking sensible questions. I'm going to have the API and someone else is going to be querying this. Just to give a check on things. So we've got our executive, got a non-executive, but we're also going to have our developer. And they're the real OG, so they get to be even bigger, right? Cool. And so they're going to be like developer slash spy. Sorry, what else does it do? So we've got the API so we can see what the history is.
Actually, I think I misspoke. The feature is um, specifically an improvement on Genie on dashboards. That's because
Oh,
I was just
okay.
like, yeah, no, this Genie actually has been able to do this for a while. It's the specifically on dashboards. So there's an embedded version of Genie on each dashboard. So anytime you create a dashboard and you go to that dashboard, you can also chat with it, and that chat is basically improved now to also support multi-statement SQL queries. I mean,
Right.
it's a little, it's better vibes.
But okay, G space. So but I need to rename this as a dashboard with a Genie space, and
Yeah,
it's got
okay.
better
Yeah,
vibes and better Q&A, and that's really nice. That means our developer is not going to get bothered as much by our very stressed executive at the moment. Excellent. They should let us
yeah.
write the release notes.
I mean, when you're talking about quite literally an AI system, then, it does become a little bit interesting how you measure the improvement, especially insofar as like telling people it's better. Like I come on this call with you and I'm like, hey, I got so much smarter last week. I wouldn't be able to tell you how, but I did. Please
Excellent.
cut everything I just said.
No, in fact, our performance review is coming up for mid-year, so I'm just going to clip this and send it to our boss.
I did better this year. How? I just vibes, bro.
Okay. Can I talk about a feature?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I was keeping you. Please. Um,
Okay, declarative pipelines were renamed previously from Delta Live tables. So we also now have predictive optimization for declarative pipelines that is enabled by default for things. So this means that you have to spend a lot less time thinking about the maintenance of your tables. Similar to that, we also have deletion vectors as well, which are now enabled for declarative pipelines. So if you are making small changes where you're deleting things from tables, this should be significantly faster to run and also to read from as well. You can also publish to multiple schemas now. This is a fantastic improvement that's been asked for quite some time. You can also move tables between pipelines. There's also a new system table for pipelines as well. So again, if you want to monitor everything that's going on, there is now a dedicated system table to be able to do that.
can you delete from tables that are I didn't understand the deletion vector point. So if I have a three-stage DLT pipeline and I have a
Uh,
table in the middle and I delete something from that table, that won't
mhm.
break everything? That won't just like destroy the whole pipeline?
So if your pipeline is like delete from where name equals Holly, and that's part of your pipeline, if I only account for 1% of the data, instead of rereading in everything, writing it all out again, it just tombstones my record. And then so for anything that reads in, it reads everything in and it says, but that's tombstone, so I'm not going to read it. So the pipeline is just going to update the tombstone rather than reading in a bunch of data, writing it out again, and that's very slow.
All right, so where can we put this? It sounds like we just need to add a DLT pipeline to this thing.
Mhm.
And we already have a notebook, so we have this idea of things that we're doing. We're reading from a table and we're writing some of the results of the AI star queries out. So I'm going to reuse this notebook. I'm going to say that it is part of like it is our pipeline.
What you could do is read from the table that is created that then feeds into our dashboard, and you could do some further downstream things with that. So once you've analyzed who is an HR violation, maybe then you could like kick off some other things to, I don't know, such some other stuff.
So it's not DLT anymore. What's
Declarative
the acronym?
pipelines.
No, there's got to be an acronym.
There is no acronym.
I have to write declarative pipeline.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Okay, we read from that table, declarative pipeline. We do a bunch of transformations. We write it back to here. There we go. I love this stage of our drawings. Okay, cool. I really like this.
Okay.
I
And we
just
could also
basically
like
made a circle.
we can publish to multiple schemas now as well. So do we want to have another schema somewhere else?
It's going to be hard to draw on this diagram, so I say it's okay for the sake of the diagram. We're fine. The point is
Okay.
evident.
Okay, then. The good thing about this is the tables that have been made, they are going to be more performant and hopefully they are going to require much less tuning of things that are going on. So, for example, if you need to update your list of employees because of your HR violations, that's going to be a lot easier now with deletion vectors where we can just tombstone someone instead of having to rewrite out the entire table. All right, then. So that was it for me for data engineering stuff. Do you have any more AI stuff?
Our last section, agent bricks, continues to evolve. First key thing is that we now support PDFs as source files for, I believe, basically all the tiles. So before for instance, we had like information extraction before, and this tile allowed you to basically take unstructured data and put it into some kind of JSON schema that you would specify. Obviously, a very useful feature. But if you had a bunch of PDFs, you would have first had to like OCR them or read them with a compatible, PDF library or something, and get the text out. So now you no longer have to do that step directly in Agent Bricks. You can say, hey, these are the PDFs that I want to use, and work with them directly. So that's the first thing. huge quality of life improvement because it takes a massive step out. That's usually the blocking step. Oh my God, I can do this cool thing, but first I have to do all this junk that's really boring. So that's gone, and that's terrific. And the second feature, Agent Brinks has the ability to create a kind of multi-agent, I think it's called supervisor, multi-agent supervisor. And it's basically kind of like a meta agent in the sense that you can combine several of the other agents that you have in Databricks under one umbrella and have that agent facilitate kind of Q&A work, for instance. So you create a multi-supervisor agent, you plug in like three separate knowledge assistants that you've also created through Agent Bricks, and they can all work under one umbrella. So very exciting. It can also support MCP servers and Genie spaces. So you know, let's take a use case. You build a knowledge assistant on some static documents. That's like your first agent. You have a Genie space, and that Genie space is on some live tables, like a schema and some tables in the in Unity catalog. And then you have an MCP server, which exposes some tools. So you have these three elements. You can create this new multi-agent supervisor. You specify that those three agents that I just talked about, the MCP server, the knowledge assistant, um, and I'm blanking. I already forgot what I just said, but those three, and you put them into the multi-agent supervisor and expose that as an agent. So it's kind of like this the compound system um, vision that we have been promoting for a very long time, and now there's a feature to make it really easy. Very good stuff.
Okay, so I'm glad you left that until the final moment for me to now build all of this into an agent. So we already have some PDFs which are going to be in a volume somewhere. I'm not sure I understand the reason why you'd want to use Agent Bricks over something like AI Pass and AI Query. Are they going to do very similar things?
Um, they're going to do pretty different things. So
Okay.
the function calls are kind of like for one-time calls. Like I have a PDF and I want to process it, or I have some kind of thing I want to work on in
Oh,
the
I
activity.
see.
And the agent will expose a chat interface that's dynamic, and you can just use it in many different ways. So you actually could use that agent with AI query.
Okay, so this is like as soon as I update this volume for PDFs, I've got my agent for PDFs, and that's going to make a chatbot out of the end that's like live updating everything. And then maybe could I have the supervisor, and that is going to compare what is coming out of our Genie space, uh, and then also through our chatbot as well.
So they wouldn't be comparing. It wouldn't be comparing. So supervisor would be its own agent, and
Okay.
it has the ability to call the other agents. So that's what I meant by like meta agent. You get into
Oh,
this,
okay.
yeah. So it's kind of like like you can have an agent that has the ability to call tools.
Right,
We're exposing
okay.
kind of this arbitrary agent that can call all these different kinds of assets.
Okay, so that's actually just calling that. So that's the wrong way around. Um, and then is there a well-known public MCP something something that we could call? Oh, I know what we could. Maybe we could have like a news MCP or something.
Sure, sure, yeah, whatever it
We
might be.
can get the news, and then also compare that to see, maybe if our employees are misbehaving publicly, very publicly. Okay, then I think that's all of our features for this month. Okay, beautiful. Okay, then, so that's everything for this month that we have. How would you rate this, Nick, as a diagram? Or not even as a diagram. How would you rate this as an architecture?
6.
6. So I think like it started off quite sane with kind of like ingesting everything and like BYO lineage, and that was quite sensible. And then sort of using the notebook to do like a one-off analysis and then making a dashboard out of it. That was quite sensible. I feel then putting agent bricks on top of it was maybe a little bit of a step too far. And then it just felt really at that last hurdle. That was the excessive point. That was the point that it became over-architected for me. So I think I'm going to give it a 5. Like I think there's some useful stuff in here, but please don't do this.
I would advise everybody to do that. I don't see anything wrong with this. It's missing a real use case, but technically, it's like, all the lines work. That's how I'm looking at it.
That is true. Yeah, like it would work
Mhm.
technically. ROI, not so good.
I mean, we couldn't even be in a position to assess that.
All right, then. Thank you so much for joining. What did you think of our rating? Do you think this is completely reasonable? Could you actually see a legitimate use case for it? If so, please let us know. If not, we'll see you again next month. Bye bye bye.